Hey guys, and welcome to the absolute madness which is Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer. On the left hand side we have For Poland bringing the forces of the Wood Elves up against the legendary warrior CaVAlrY, aka Grombrindle. Two of my favourite players in the community, really awesome guys and some very fun builds. And we're going to be particularly focusing around the Lost Silver Knights. But we'll get into the rest of the Wood Elf force before we do indeed get to them. So we have Eternal Guard dotted all the way along the front line, backed up by some of the craziest warriors in the game, the War Dancers. These ladies will be flipping, slicing and dicing all of your troops with deft efficiency. We also have a load of Glade Guard in the back line with Starfire Shafts. Now, Glade Guard, Starfire Shafts and Hagbane Tips are an absolute must, in my opinion, up against the Lizardmen. Fantastic AP, and just a bucket ton of arrows to drag down Saurus and large single entity creatures. In the back here, we have the Glade Lady coming with her glorious net ability on one of my favourite mounts in the game, the Great Stag, as it majestically bounces into the bloodshed. It is such a cool model as it whips its antlers back and forth there. Over up on the high ground, we do have a Spellslinger of Life coming with Earthblood and Regrowth, and that is to complement the Lost Silver Knights, the ethereal Great Stags. These guys are the Regiment Renown Great Stag unit, and there's been a lot of talk, and I mean a lot of talk recently, underneath a lot of my videos and a lot of my live streams, that Cav is absolutely useless now and cannot be brought in multiplayer, and I'm probably going to disappoint a few people here. I think that's absolute rubbish, personally. I think CaVAlrY is still very powerful. There is a bit of a bug, people seem to think, at the moment, where if you charge halberdiers or great weapons head-on and they countercharge you, you take a load of damage, which is 100% true. So the best thing to do is not charge great weapons or halberd units directly head-on. Instead, move around the flanks, hit your enemies when they're engaged in combat already, run over troops who do not have great weapons, hunt down skirmishers, enemy characters, big single entities. You can basically do everything you can previously do with CaVAlrY, except charging certain units directly in the face as they charge you back. But here we can see another big problem at the moment. It is going to be Flock of Doom, very powerful in the current meta, and it is going to be coming down on the Lost Silver Knights, who will be eating up that magic damage, unfortunately for them, as they are ethereal. For the forces of the Dino Boys, we have Chameleon Skink dotted all the way along the front line. We have Skink Oracle as well, with Flock of Doom, Earthblood and Opal Amulet going to be driving forward as well, looking to pick off models or hunt down the Spellslinger of Life. Main battle line's going to have Chameleon Stalkers in. This is a really interesting idea. Personally, I've been using Stalkers in a backline presence, 1 or 2 units to sneak in and be a pain in the butt. But trying to use them in the front could work well up against squishy forces such as High Elves, Wood Elves, Dark Elves and all that good stuff. We then have a load of Skinks, so a bucket ton of Skink cohorts, backed up by an insane amount of Javelins, as well as the cohort of Sotek, and leading the line we have Oxyotl popping Master Predator, so he is of course unspottable at the moment, looking to pick a fight with the Glade Lady. Should be some good fun. On the left hand side, the Skink Oracle is getting swarmed a bit. Skink Oracle very powerful at range, but is susceptible to being chased and ridden down like this, and yeah, he certainly needs the support here. Chameleon Skinks are falling back, Skink cohorts are here, and a load of Javelins and Blowpipe Fire is going to come in, and yes, the Lost Silver Knights are ethereal, but they have a very small HP pool, so they can certainly get bogged down and shut down quite quickly. Stalkers have been revealed, and they're going to be moving up here to try to engage with the Eternal Guard, and you can see they're doing some pretty decent damage on the approach. Nothing too crazy though, they actually don't get off all their blow dart shots there. Chameleon Skinks are going to be falling back however, and try to rain down fire where possible. Chameleon Skinks have been nerfed a bit, poison's weaker, they're more expensive, but still an absolute staple, I think. War Dancers are now well and truly amongst the carnage. They're going to be having a huge fun time here chewing apart these enemies, as we can see. Skinks are starting to try to push in onto the War Dancers, doing some lovely burst damage there. In the distance, the Lost Silver Knights have been forced wide at the moment. They managed to take down these Chameleons, as well as these Skinks, down about a third health on each, but are having to float up and around to get into this juicy central pocket of the Dino forces. There are some great weapons nearby, though, in the form of the cohort of Sotek here, but if they're engaged with War Dancers, then the impact is still going to be thunderous. Antlers are indeed lowered, and they jump into combat, and the cohort of Sotek not going to be enjoying that one whatsoever. Look at their HP just drop off them. War Dancers as well, doing a decent job. Up on the high ground, the Skink Oracles continue to hunt down characters, but unfortunately can't get to grips with them. Skink Oracles are very powerful at dealing with single entities and single entity monsters, not so good at dealing with units though, and you can see the Glade Guard are starting to rain fire down that Oracle. He's going to pop Foe Seeker rather wisely in an attempt to escape, but a beautiful little catch in. Net of Amantok goes down, but the skink is dragging the net with him. You cannot pin me in place. I am the mighty skink. Oracle, he screams, and somehow manages to escape there. That is so janky. That is amazing, but he manages to pull out there. The Lost Silver Knights are quite happily running over Chameleon Skinks in the back lines here, but now going to be moving on to the skink cohorts. They're taking quite a bit of damage now, but up to 73 kills. Been absolutely fantastic so far. Tunnel Guard are moving in, shields raised to absorb the damage of the Chameleon Skinks, and that's a really nice play by the Wood Elves, because they need to protect the War Dancers, who are going to be really susceptible to Blow Dart and Javelin pressure. Glade Lady, where's she about? I know she is falling back. Okay, Glade Lady's falling back, her Jaw of Oxyotl continues here, and the Eternal Guard are now well and truly amongst the Skinks. With War Dancer support, it shouldn't be too hard there for the Wood Elves to win this engagement. Oxyotl just vibing it in the middle of the battlefield at the moment, up to 48 kills, is continuing to harass the enemy leadership at every given opportune moment. Spellslinger Life is quite a way away from the battlefield at the moment, perhaps waiting for the later game to come in and drop some of those spells down. Glade Guard are doing exactly what you should do against Chameleon Skinks. You should shoot them. Yes, they have missile resistance, but they are very squishy. They're still Skinks at the end of the day, and you can see they're going down quite quickly here. Skink cohorts slowly overwhelming the War Dancers and the Winterheart Guard, though the Winterheart Guard are unbreakable, so it looks like both forces kind of just breaking in this central fight here, though a load of Glade Guard shots are continuing to be pouring in, and the Glade Guard are starting to get harassed quite a bit. Skink cohort's doing some decent work. The Lizardmen really need to try to push into that back pocket here, and it looks like the Skink Oracle up to only 12 kills, but his, let's see his damage values. He's used up a lot of his ammunition. 1,835, very good work so far. He has a little way to go to pay for himself. He's about 2,400 gold or something, roughly, of this toolkit, so he's pretty expensive, but he is slowly edging towards paying for himself there. A load of Lizardmen forces have rallied on this right-hand side, going to be coming back into the fray. War Dancers are going down. It looks like the Lost Silver Knights are going to be getting a fat regrowth now. They've been getting a load of magical assistance today, but at the same time, an insane amount of javelins, ammunition, Flock of Dooms have been thrown at them, and they still stand and still fight. A lovely little regrowth is going to be going down on them. Chameleon Skinks are trading fire here with the Glade Guard, but Glade Guard much more adept to this type of situation, just firing those volleys. Less of a skirmish force, but much better in these exchanges of fire. Skinks doing a good job, though, driving into the heart of the Wood Elf remaining forces. Likewise are the Chameleon Stalkers, but the Spellslinger Life has returned to the battlefield just in time to try to punish these guys. Glade Guard as well are doing a pretty sterling job on this left-hand side. Looks like we do have some War Dancers who have rallied up to 95 kills. Good work from the ladies there. Tunnel Guard as well are going to start driving back onto these Chameleon Skinks to try to finish them off. The Skink Oracle has been hit by a net here. It looks like so has the Skink cohort. I don't even know how that works. There's been some weird buggy stuff today in this battle with the nets. But again, I think this replays from an older version, so it may be just a bit buggy. But down goes the Skink Oracle. Lost Silver Knights do surround the beast and drag it down before kicking some Stalkers in the face. These guys have been a beast today. Hunting down that large creature, finishing off. Been quite good as well at taking down the enemy skirmishers. And for the first time in the battle, that balance of power is starting to slip quite heavily in favour of the Wood Elves, now that the magical assistance has been depleted for the Lizardmen forces. Oxyotl still going strong though, up to 78 kills. He's not really been under too much pressure. The Wood Elves instead focusing on destroying the rest of his build, which certainly isn't a bad idea whatsoever. Leave that little skink to the end. If you can keep him away from your key characters, just chuck chaff at him and he won't do too much there. The glorious Lost Silver Knights driving into the remaining Chameleon Skinks, force them off the battlefield. Looks like they are indeed terrified, and with that balance power swooping against them, the terror of the Lost Silver Knights is actually going to be really quite nice here indeed. Glade Guard are starting to fall back a little bit away from the pressure of the Skinks, who seem to have all of their javelins left. Big blowpipe shot comes in, but here's an effect here. It's called the blowpipe. Oh god, I'm going to mispronounce it so bad. Putuhi is what I'm going to say. Is the golden blowpipe. There you go. Is actually not that great at long range or short range. You kind of want it in that medium range. Think of it in a Hand of the Gods situation is the best way to use it. But it seems like the Lizardmen forces simply getting overwhelmed here. The remainder of the Skinks are starting to go down. Yes, Oxyotl is still alive and healthy, but only 10 ammunition left. He's not the type of character to win you a game in melee combat in the later stages. Spellslinger does shatter those Skink cohorts. War Dancers are on the return to the battlefield, and it looks like the Wood Elves may just about be victorious. It's tough to say. Balance power is very close now to army losses. Lost Silver Knights just seem to be an unstoppable force of nature at the the moment. Despite the fact there is magic damage on the field from Oxyotl, there was Flock of Dooms, there's a lot that they could be thrown at them, but they seem to have just about been able to survive. Arminos kicks in, and it is a Pyrrhic victory for the forces of the Wood Elves. Very well played to these two champs. Always love to see for Poland and CaVAlrY, either on the opposite side of the battlefield to me, or in these replays. Two super lovely guys from Sons of the Mountain, which is a clan based around the dwarves, but they do love a load of different factions as well. Well played to both of them, though. Honestly, a really fantastic performance. Good highlight of the Skink Oracle and its strengths and its weaknesses. And how to do with Oxyotl. Sometimes you just have to leave him, let him get some damage, but then kill him in the end game and just slaughter the rest of his build. The Lost Silver Knights were absolutely fantastic. 253 kills, 2,131 damage value, 15k, nearly 16k damage dealt. True MVPs on the battlefield today, at least in my opinion, for the forces of the Wood Elves. If you're wondering about the weird names up the top, these lads are Polish, so they are on the Polish version of the game. Don't worry, it's not a mod or anything, this is just the standard stuff. We will get to the damage dealt and damage value of all the units in just a second, but let me know what you thought of this battle down below in the comments. Do you think CaVAlrY is brokenly useless now and can't be brought onto the battlefield? Or are you more in line with my opinion that, no, CaVAlRY's still pretty damn good? Yeah, it's not nice that you can't charge great weapons and halberds headlong on with your horse, but at the same time you can charge them in the flank, the rear, basically any other unit in the game, harass the enemy back line, deal with their skirmishes and so forth. I still think CaVAlrY is pretty damn good, despite that everyone else is telling me different. So maybe I'm wrong. Let me know down below if you think I am, of course, a complete idiot duck as well. Feel free to quack, say who your MVP is, anything. I do really enjoy reading the comments. They do brighten up my day for sure. Feel free to like the video as well if you enjoy. Helps push it out to more people. And of course, subscribe for more glorious Total War Warhammer action. When we get to 7,500, we will definitely do another giveaway. I'm going to try and get some merch as well, kind of done up very soon, just for these kind of special events. We can do some like limited time stuff and drop it and all that good stuff. Also some plans for some charity streams, so yeah, you want to subscribe to keep up to date for that. There are links down below in the description to my Discord, where you can submit replays, just like the mighty For Poland did here. Keep up to date with events and tournaments I host. Death Before Dishonor, our tournament season is back from next week, and there's all the links to my Patreon if you'd like to support the channel. But anyway, on to the real reason we're here, the Glade Lady. Love her on her stag mount, very badass, very cool, very ferocious. 911 damage value, not terrible, not amazing either, but those nets were quite helpful, though one of them seemed to bug out, but it might have been a visual glitch and she had actually netted something else, like in the later stages. Spellslinger, good healing, and I think if you're going to bring the Lost Silver Knights, Spellslinger Life is a perfect combination because they can heal them up, and they can be relatively tanky, unless they get burst. The Lost Silver Knights really can get burst down, despite the resistance, because they don't have the biggest HP pool. Turner Guard didn't do anything crazy, to be honest. Just got in there and killed some skinks. Likewise, the War Dancers racking up some impressive kills, 72, 95, but not much damage value. But they're here to clear out the skinks, to allow the Riders, as well as the Glade Guard, to really shine, and shine they did. We've already gone over the Lost Silver Knights. Beautiful display by them today. Really cool new unit card as well. The Glade Guard, 1.4, 575, 867, and 1,000 damage value. Just a little round of applause there into the microphone. Really good job protecting them. That was quite key as well. And though there wasn't that many amazing targets for them to focus down, normally you want them to shoot into Temple Guard, Saurus Warriors, large creatures. They did their job, and they did manage to drag down the Skink Oracle as well. Oxyotl performed really well and managed to remain hidden for basically the entirety of the battle. 2,346 damage value. Great work there from the little Skinky, trying to focus down that Glade Lady and other key targets, and did a good job. The Skink Oracle nearly paid for itself. 1,948 damage value is very good. And I see a lot of people complaining about the Skink Oracle being overtuned. Maybe he is slightly, but he is very expensive, guys. And I know a lot of the time when you see these replays, you can't see the gold cost of units. But I think he had 2 spells. That's going to take him to nearly 2.5k cost, particularly with Opal Amulet and stuff. So didn't pay for himself, but still was a bit of a menace and a nuisance. Really good micromanagement by CaVAlrY to keep him alive despite the huge bow pressure. Little Skinkies did okay across the board. The Chameleon Stalkers did okay damage value, 500, 622, 577, trying to burst down the enemy. I'd like to see at least one of the units just left right behind the enemy, push up onto those Glade Guard, because at the moment a lot of people look at Lizardmen, see you don't have any Pterodons and think their backline is safe, but no longer with the Chameleon Stalkers in tow. Code of Sotek and the Javelins performed pretty mixed bag. A lot of them kind of failed to get their value. The Cohort did better with 700, and this unit 900 damage value on those Javelins is really good work. Chameleon Skink's been a pain in the butt, though they are struggling to pay for themselves a bit here. 630, 600, 433, 670 damage value. They're probably one of the most annoying units to face, but if you do, just do what 4 Poland did. Fend them off with your Eternal Guard, your cheap shielded units, then you won't have too many problems with them. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. It's a really good fun one to cast. Until next time, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.